Hi everyone! Today we're going to talk about eye contact in relationships because yes, it helps us to connect and communicate with other human beings, but it also is common sense. And of course, like so much of common sense, it's easy to forget it. Today I'm going to go through some research with you and I want you to think about it and apply it to your own life. Remember, we live in a very fast-paced world now. We're obsessed with information consumption, which has resulted in information overload. We are also obsessed with what technology can do for us, and unfortunately means that we're often very glued to our smartphones, not making eye contact with people. When we're not doing that, we're not having proper relationships with them. We're not actually communicating fully, and we're missing out on so much information that's there to help us achieve our goals. And yet we're abandoning it because we're forgetting about these common sense things whilst we're just striving for excitement at our fingertips. So let's have a look at some of the research. Then you go away and think about your behaviour patterns when it comes to how you relate to people and your lack of eye contact perhaps, and how perhaps it's hindering you in your relationship goals or dating goals or business relationship goals, or whichever arena that's in. This is relevant if you're dealing with other human beings. So we know from old research that when we're experiencing negative thoughts or emotions, our pupils constrict, and when we're experiencing positive thoughts and emotions, our pupils dilate. Now, we also know that not only is this something that happens naturally as a result of our thoughts and emotions internally, it also communicates a great deal to other people. They then learn about what we're thinking and feeling in that moment, but also it helps them to inform their next move, whether through communication or action. If we strip away that information because we're too busy looking at our smartphone to make that eye contact and pick up those signals, and actually we're losing out on a wealth of information that is there to serve us and the other party. So we also know that there is a link between attraction. And so if you're out trying to attract somebody, or if you're in a long-term relationship with somebody and want to keep that spark alive, how important is eye contact? Well, for example, one study back in 1965 by Hess et al. Was conducted where the researchers took photographs of women, then duplicated those photographs, and in the duplicates enlarged their pupils, just using technology. They then presented these photographs to men, and the men rated the women with the enlarged pupils as being more attractive than the women in the original photos. So clearly there is a romantic attraction there to women with larger pupils, whether that's because they find them more attractive or whether they find them more attractive because they think that those large pupils signify other things which have various connotations. For example, somebody who's positive, which is demonstrated perhaps through their larger eye pupils, gives rise to connotations and associations within us that they're positive, therefore they must be upbeat, proactive, easy to be around, fun to be around, etc., etc. And of course we make these judgments like that without really thinking much about them. So what about women? Do women find enlarged pupils in men more attractive? Well, apparently so, but only when they're at their most fertile. In 2009 at the University of Edinburgh, Carroll et al., spelt C-A-R-Y-L, found that women did find men with enlarged pupils more attractive, but only when they were at their most fertile. So perhaps there's an element of goal-seeking behaviour there, that when the goal is to perhaps procreate, a biological goal that's embedded within us, perhaps from, since man was created, that perhaps that goal-seeking behaviour forces women to identify or helps women to identify men with larger pupils, and perhaps they just don't focus on that when they're not fertile, which is interesting because it tells us much more about goal-seeking behaviour as well as eye contact and large pupils and attraction. So the next time you're on a first date, try and think positive thoughts, because it may be that the person finds you more attractive as a result without maybe even knowing why. And a last piece of research I'm going to share is from 1989. It was conducted by Kellerman et al. And what they did was asked strangers to sit staring at each other in one another's eyes for 2 minutes straight. And the participants then reported having greater feelings of attraction and greater passionate feelings towards the stranger they've been staring at in their eyes for 2 minutes. Interestingly, the research also found that there was an increase of phenylethylamine, which is a chemical that's produced by the body, is often associated with love and romance, and is actually part of the amphetamine family. So very much like amphetamines, it creates feelings of contentment and well-being, but it also has withdrawal symptoms because it's addictive. And perhaps the withdrawal symptoms when you're on a breakup or feeling depressed and low come from that withdrawal of that chemical being released in the same quantity. So clearly there are chemical changes that take place. There are communication tools at our disposal when we're looking out for them. And there is a link to romance and interest when pupils are dilated and or when we're experiencing positive thoughts and emotions. So start using these things to your advantage. Remember how important eye contact is. Bring that back into focus in your lives, personal and business. And I look forward to speaking to you all soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.